Hello friends, today we are going to learn the ninth class English chapter, How I Taught My Grandmother to Read, and it is written by Sudha Murthy. Sudha Murthy was born in 1950 in Shigao in North Karnataka, so she was an Indian writer. A prolific writer in Kannada, she has written 7 novels, 4 technical books, 3 travelogues, and 2 collections of short stories. How I Taught My Grandmother to Read is the story of an old woman who ventured to learn to read and write at the age of 62. She believed that age was no bar for learning. Her sincere efforts and determination bore fruit, and she accomplished her mission to read independently within a short span of time. She gave due respect to her teacher, who happened to be her 12-year-old granddaughter. The narrator, Sudha Murthy, used to stay with her grandparents in a village in North Karnataka. Her loving grandmother poured all her love on her, and the two had a good rapport. During those days, transport system was not at all that good, so the morning newspaper reached the village by afternoon, and the weekly magazines arrived one day late. When Sudha was about 12-year old, a popular writer, Triveni's famous novel Kashi Yatra was being serialized in a Kannada weekly Karmavira. Triveni had a simple style in which she wrote about ordinary people bringing out their complex psychological problems. The women of Sudha's village found Kashi Yatra a very engrossing story. They identified themselves with the chief protagonist of the story, as she too was an old woman. This poor old woman was very keen on earning the punya of visiting Kashi with the savings of her lifetime. Another character in the story, an orphan girl, fell in love with a young man. Unfortunately, she had no money for the wedding. In the end, the old lady gives all her savings for the girl's wedding and drops the idea of going to Kashi. For her, helping the orphan girl to get married was equivalent to a pilgrimage to Kashi. Sudha's grandmother followed the story very regularly. Every Wednesday, when the weekly magazine arrived, she made her granddaughter read out the episode to her. She would then discuss the story with her friends in the temple courtyard. It was then followed by a great debate. Once, the granddaughter went for a wedding to a neighboring village with her cousins. Though she had gone there for just 2 days, she enjoyed herself so much in this village that she ended up staying there for a week. In the meantime, Karmavira arrived as usual on Wednesday, but there was no one to read out the new episode of the story to the grandmother. Very desperate to know what would happen next in the story, the grandmother ran her fingers all over the pages to know what was written in them. But of course, it was a futile exercise. She couldn't ask anyone in the village to read it out to her because it would be so embarrassing. Nor could she go to the neighboring village to ask her granddaughter to read it to her. She felt so helpless and dependent that she regretted not having got a chance to go to school as a child. When the granddaughter returned from the village, she saw her grandmother in tears. On asking what had caused those tears, the grandma didn't answer. Later, in the middle of the night, she came to her grandchild and told her how her inability to read had distressed her. She expressed her desire to learn Kannada alphabet and asked the child to teach her. The granddaughter felt very amused at the idea of a 62-year-old bespectacled, grey-haired lady trying to learn to read and write. However, this didn't bother the old lady. She assured the child that she would work very hard and learn to read by Saraswati Puja during Dashera. Seeing her grandmother's enthusiasm and determination, Sudha accepted to be her teacher and taught her with utmost love and sincerity. By the Saraswati Puja, the grandmother was actually able to read on her own. She was now an independent woman. On the puja day, she gifted her granddaughter a frock material. As a mark of gratitude and respect, she touched the feet of her 12-year-old teacher. The child was taken aback. She also touched her grandmother's feet and gifted her Kashi Yatra, which had by this time been published as a novel. The grandmother read out the title of the book, the writer's name, and the publisher's name without any mistake. This gave the teacher a lot of joy because her student had passed with flying colors. And now in the next video, you will going to learn about the theme and the character sketches of the chapter.